In May of every year, Foley, Alabama brings the Gulf Coast Hot Air Balloon Festival to town, as well as a bunch of art vendors, food vendors, really somewhat of a festival type atmosphere. There's a kid zone, and they have bouncy houses and bouncy slides and activities for the kids. All the kids out there yesterday seem to be having a fantastic time. So the festival is behind OWA. I used to think it was called OWA, but then I found out it's OWA. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is Muscogee Creek language, meaning big water, paying homage to the Gulf of Mexico. It's an absolutely beautiful complex. I got out there early enough to see them inflating the hot air balloons, which was sort of neat. I thought that this one was Winnie the Pooh for a little bit until they fully inflated them, and then I recognized the comic strip character. Yeah, I don't know if you're supposed to call the hot air balloons being inflated. I don't know what other word you would call it, but they were being inflated at different times. Although it seemed like all the hot air balloon pilots got there right around the same time. Maybe it just takes some balloons a little bit longer than others, but there was a variety of styles and colors. It was really interesting. Most of the balloons stayed tethered to the ground. And then I would say about 6 or 8 actually went up into the sky and away. I have no idea where they went. This is a free festival. Admission is free. The parking at the complex is free. You'll spend money on food or drinks or arts and crafts if you want to purchase some, but admission and parking are free. A lot of folks brought their chairs or a blanket to sit on, and they were just sort of hanging out watching the balloons. The majority of the balloons are tethered to the ground, so when they're giving rides, you're only going up so high. But then there were about 6 or 8 last night that went up into the sky, not with the general public riding in them. It was just the balloon pilots. And I'm not real sure where they ended up. They didn't come back to where we were, but it was fun watching them float up into the sky. When they're inflating the balloons, the public is behind these barriers, so I'm front row right behind these barriers watching them get all the balloons ready. Once all the balloons are fully inflated, they asked us if we wanted to come down to the field and take photos and talk to the balloon pilots. As it got darker, the pilots started coordinating, pulling their propane at the same time, so all the balloons were lighting up at once. And sometimes they would do these really quick pulls that would give the balloon a twinkle effect, and the darker it got, the more noticeable these twinkle effects were. When you're standing next to one of the balloons and they pull on the propane, you can definitely feel the heat coming off those balloons. So I don't just talk about real estate. I like to showcase some of the fun things to do in the Northwest Florida market, and the Gulf Coast Hot Air Balloon Festival happens to be one of those things.